Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. Yes, they're coming thick and fast because I need to get them all in before the tell-all. And once again, we're talking about Big Ed. And Big Ed's mantra is, it's never too late for stalking, because that's pretty much what he does to Liz in this episode. And so we're going to analyse once more the actions of the walking, talking trigger warning that is Big Ed. And another one of my frequent commenters and great subscribers, Linda Barry, said in comments yesterday that Ed has the Leonardo DiCaprio syndrome. And she goes on to explain, when they were young they liked girls in their 20s, and they still like girls in their 20s because they're emotionally immature. And whilst I agree with this, I can't help but thinking, Ed reminds me of Leonardo DiCaprio, but with no money, no talent, no charisma, and a whole lot of childhood trauma. But I guess he is a selfish mofo. And Ricky Gervais once commented at the Golden Globes that Leonardo had to fall out with his girlfriend in the middle of an awards ceremony because it was 3 hours long and by the end of the ceremony she was too old for him. Guys, if you haven't done so yet, please press the big red subscribe button, make Ebird a very happy Ebird, and also follow me on Twitter at Ebird Online. Just to let you know, this is part 4, I'll link the other parts down below, of my Big Ed Obsessathon. So without further ado, I give you Big Ed. And when we catch up with Big Ed this week, he's in his car. And he's explaining to us how yet another massive drama in this non-relationship of a relationship has unfolded. And so Ed explains to us that he was busy stalking, yes that's right, stalking Ed, stalking Liz at her restaurant. And it makes me laugh the way he phrases this. He was clearly stalking because he said I was at the restaurant and Liz happened to be there. She bloody works there, Ed. If you go there, you know you'll see her. You said she works all the time, loads of double shifts. But of course, Ed will never look at this as stalking, even after the restraining order arrives. And he tells us his tale of woe. He was in the restaurant and Liz was sitting there with a guy and he was shocked. Even though they're not in a relationship. What was that? Yes, that's correct. You are not in a relationship. He was still taken aback. And he was even more taken aback because Liz didn't go over to chat to him. Ed, a word to the wise. You don't tend to go over to chat to guys that fancy you when they're stalking you and giving you the evil eye because you're talking to another man. So Ed decides to go and meet Liz to clear the air. And they sit down at a table. She's bought him a bottle of Malbec and she's got a few nibbles on the table so that it doesn't make it awkward. If you want to not make it awkward, dispense of Big Ed. That's a great way to make the atmosphere less awkward, Liz. Just a tip for the future. And so Ed sits down and asks her about the guy that she was sitting having a drink with. And she said, it's just a friend. There's nothing in it. We were sitting having a drink. He's my co-worker. But Ed, of course, doesn't want to listen to everything. He wants to butt in. So first he says, but I've seen you having a drink before. And last time I wanted to come over and I daren't because I felt like I was intruding. That's because you were, Ed. At that point, you were just a patron at the restaurant that she works at. Where do you get off thinking that you can just butt in when someone's sitting having a drink or a meal with somebody? And then she said, no, we're just friends. And Ed said, wait, but I've seen him walk you to the car. Oh my God, Ed. You seem to think that you're the perfect gentleman. That is normal behaviour. You walk somebody to the car to ensure they've got into their car safely when you exit any bar or any restaurant. That's normal behaviour, Ed. And she said, we are just friends. In fact, he's a co-worker. What? So basically, Ed, you've got all out of your box because she's sitting having a drink with somebody at work who also works there. They're probably just there because they get cheap or free drinks. Oh Lord, he really is a trip. And he said, well, I think he fancies you. Who wouldn't? Maybe he does fancy her, maybe he doesn't. But that's not for you to concern yourself with, Ed. And you certainly can't be as jealous as you are when you're not even seeing each other yet. And Liz says, well, I don't want you to start having attitude with my co-workers because I'm not going to stop being independent, being myself and going out and going for drinks. And so Ed, here's the point when you say, oh gosh, he's a co-worker. I'm so sorry if I was overreacting and coming across a bit weird. But he didn't say that, of course not. He sat there really quietly for ages until Liz said, why are you being quiet? Why are you being all weird? And he was fiddling around with food. And then he said, yeah, well, I think he likes you. Oh my God, Ed, so freaking what? She's just said he's a co-worker. Even if she said he's a friend that I met 3 months ago, it's her right to go out for a drink with him, but he's a co-worker. You need to apologise. So then Ed tells production, well, yeah, I'm an idiot. I overreacted because I really like her. But I need to know where I stand. I need to know if she thinks that I'm boyfriend material. So again, me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. He honestly doesn't see anything outside of himself and how he feels. Just apologise, Ed. It's so simple. I am sorry, Liz. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry if I'm an effing weirdo. And he said to producers, if she doesn't like me, then that's it, that's the end. I need to know where I stand. And so back at the table, Ed finally reluctantly says, I'm sorry, but I need to know where I stand. Do you see me as boyfriend material? Was that it? Just an, I'm sorry. That's all. The very least he could have said. I'm surprised he didn't say, soz. There, Mum, there, I said it. I said I apologise. I said sother. Guys, I really can't with Ed. I really can't. So he said to her, do you like me? And she gave a very pregnant pause. And he said, am I boyfriend potential? And she said, yeah. However, if you're going to be jealous, then I just don't want to have you as a boyfriend. So in other words, he's not boyfriend potential because he's ultimately one of the most jealous individuals I've ever borne witness to. And she said it's the first time ever that I've been allowed to have guy friends. I've been with possessive guys previously and I want to be able to have male friends. And Ed nodded and said, yeah, I get that. And I've got lots of female friends too. And I want to have that same freedom. Ed, not the same thing. She's not worried about a biatch if she's hanging out with you. Not at all. Don't stress your pretty little head about that one. So after she'd said, yeah, you're boyfriend material, he said, I like you, I care for you. And he said, I don't want to rush you. However, I think he does want to rush her because she's only got one more year of her 30s. And then she'll be surplus to requirements. And FYI, I'm low-key happy that you're mad with me. That means that you care. Ed, the whole of the 90 Day Fiance viewers are mad with you. Do you think we care? The Ebird's mad with you. And I can tell you one thing, I don't care for you, Ed. And then Liz asked Ed, why are you being weird? Liz, it's because he is weird. He knows not what else to be. He knows not how else to behave. But it does make me laugh because Ed says he doesn't want to pursue her anymore. He just needs to know. If she says no, he won't pursue her. Ed, what you've got to realise in this crazy game of love, women want to be pursued and chased. And let's be real, guys, back me up on this. Guys want a chase. If a woman's real easy to get your hands on, do you really value her? Usually, no, not really. You need to know there's some semblance of a chase for you to realise that when and if you do finally catch her, it's a worthwhile girl that you've caught. If it's too easy, you know that other guys can catch her with similar ease. Production speak to Liz and she says Ed doesn't have the right to be jealous. So then Liz, why are you telling production and why aren't you telling Ed? You should have really torn strips off him and said, this is my friend, don't behave like this towards my friend. Ed, you acted all out of pocket. I never want to see this from you again. But she wasn't really very harsh with him. She was kind of coy and giggling and saying, you know, I want to be able to have guy friends. And when he said, I think he fancies you, she should have said, doesn't make any difference. I work in a restaurant, I'm decent looking. Guys will fancy me all the time. If this is going to be a problem, then we can't be. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel she wasn't as forthright as she might have been in shutting Ed down on this one. So they finish up this segment by Ed saying, well, the next time we're going to see each other, we're going to the wedding. To a wedding? Wow, this is going at a rate of knots. And she says, I've never been to a wedding. And Ed said, yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, I'm going to book the room. Do you want to have separate rooms or do you want to have two queens in one room? And she thought about it for a moment and she said, well, 2 beds in one room, which I think is a good thing. And I also think it's a very positive thing for Ed that she's decided that she's comfortable enough with him to actually be in the same room as him. That's quite something because it's kind of awkward getting changed and getting ready when somebody else who fancies you is there. So I guess it's a good sign. And Ed tells production again, he's really nervous. This trip will define if he's a friend or a boyfriend. For once actually, I think he might be right. But the next time we see Ed, we're jettisoned right back into the middle of Big Ed's jealousy. He's at home looking extremely worried and he says, I think it might be over. Oh Ed, it's only going to be over when the cameras stop rolling, but I digress. He lets us know that Liz had a girls' night out last night, and that when the girls' night out finished, she came over to his house because when she was out, she bumped into her ex. And apparently they got into some sort of altercation and she was so upset she went to see Ed at the end of the night. And Ed said, well, I think I may have asked too many questions. Really Ed? That's not like you. I don't think you asked too many questions, I think that you levelled too many accusations. Let's see, shall we? And production asked him what happened and he said, well, I was a little bit overzealous and she got pissed off and she took off. And then production said, what exactly did you say? And he said, well, I asked, how did he know where she was? This was just supposed to be a girls' night. How come there were guys there? Are you still in communication? He said he was jealous, overzealous, and he asked her, I want to know what's going on. But the main thing is, how did he know where she was? Ed, there's many ways that he could have known where she was. Number one, she could have been at a bar that she usually goes to. People kind of know where people drink. Number two, he could have been looking for her and he could have gone from bar to bar to bar to find her. Number three, they might have friends in common and one of the friends might have let the cat out the bag. Number four, he might have looked on social media and ascertained where they were going. Number five, he might have looked on Instagram and recognised the bar they were at and hot-footed it down there. There are many ways that he could have found out where she was. Come on Ed, give this girl the benefit of the doubt. Would she have come around to your house afterwards and said that she'd had a big argument with him? If there was something in it, I doubt it. And Ed said he hasn't spoken to Liz for 2 days and she hasn't texted him. And then he said I might have blown it. If Liz and I don't work out, then I'm done. And that's where we leave things for this episode. So what does the Ebird make from this? Same old Ed, same old jealous scenarios. Ed always self-sabotages. He says he feels like Liz is still in contact with this ex. And at all points, Ed shows a complete lack of trust with Liz. Now, of course, I don't know if Liz is for real or if Liz is shady at this point. All roads point to shady from where I'm standing, but we really don't know. But Ed can never just raise a point such as, oh, how did he know where you were? Without making it sound like an awful accusation and that she's just nothing but a liar. And the same as, I've seen you drinking with this guy in the restaurant and you didn't come over and the guy walked you to your car. It's a colleague. Oh dear. He always jumps in with his size 2s. He always jumps in both feet first without even asking any questions. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Ed's jealousy level is off the chart? I really do. We all get jealous, especially at the start of a relationship when we don't know what somebody's relationship is with somebody else, or we feel discombobulated because we're not really sure if to trust what we see in front of us. But the last thing you do is to display it, and if you are going to display it even in a small way, why make so many big accusations straight away to the point where multiple times you nearly scare the person off? And each time Ed does this, he says, oh God, I effed up. Oh God, I went too far. But you never learn. So guys, let me know what you think. Is Ed incapable of learning? Will Ed always be jealous? And is this just something Liz is going to have to get used to? I believe it is. But do you know what I think? When looking for signals of infidelity, look in the mirror. Ed treats people as he is himself. And as we all know, he cheated on his wife after 6 months of marriage, and that's why they broke up. So because he's a dirty little cheat, he looks at everybody else under the same lens. So guys, let me know what you think in comments down below, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video, and we'll be talking about what happens at the wedding. It's quite a doozy, so don't forget to tune in. And if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to click onto that subscribe button. Come on, join the Ebird family, it's fun over here. Don't forget to smash the like button and also follow me on Twitter at Ebird Online. You've been listening to Ebird Online and I bid you all good day.